Right, question 7 is our first starred question. So we need to consider here that we're going to be given a mark for the quality of our written communication. So that's all about setting it out neatly and then also making some sort of a conclusion in words. Yes, words in maths, I know, shocking, at the end as well. So we've got different tray sizes of plants and we need to work out which is the best value, so which she should buy. Now, for me personally, I would always divide the money by the number of plants so that I'm finding out what one plant costs for each of the different size trays, and then I'm always looking for the smallest amount to know which is the best value. In this question, you could possibly decide to divide each one to find out what 10 plants cost because it works for this question, but it's not necessarily a method that works for all. So, starting off, I would label. I'm working with the small trays to start off with. So you don't necessarily need to write small tray, but just say you're working out for the small. Now what I'm going to do is take my cost, which is £6.50, and I'm going to divide by the number of plants in that tray, which is 30. And as before, we need to write everything down that we do on the calculator. So £6.50 divided by 30 is then going to need to give us the SD button again to turn that into a decimal. Now the biggest mistake you can make here is to round. So what this means, because I'm working in pounds, is that I've got 0.21 and my calculator then has a 6 but with a dot above it. So it means that I've got the 6 recurring. And what I would do is I would either write that dot or write lots of 6's out because I'm going to need to compare these different values. So give it to lots of decimal places at this stage. Then I can move on to the next one. So on my medium tray, it costs £8.95 and there are 40 plants. It's the same kind of idea with my calculation, but this time with different values. So £8.95 divided by 40, and again press my SD button so I get it as a decimal. And so this means that I've got 0.22375 as my amount of money for each plant for the medium tray. Then I can move on to the large tray, just do the same thing again. So my large tray costs £10.99 and has 50 plants in it, so I'm going to do my £10.99 divided by 50. And again, I don't want it as a fraction, I want it as a decimal. And so 0.2198 means I've got £0 and 2198 after my decimal point. So now that I've got those written down to lots of decimal places, I can have a look and I can compare and see which is the smallest. Now they are quite similar values. So looking carefully, I can discount this one because it goes 0.22. So it's then comparing this one and this one. Now for my small tray it's 0.216 when I go to the third decimal place, and for my large tray 0.219. So 219 would be bigger than 216, so therefore my best value is actually my small tray in this case. So I then need to write a sentence saying that. So I need to say that Kaz should buy the small tray as it is the best value. So even if you do all of your workings, if you don't write that down, you then won't get that 4th mark for your quality of written communication.